I witnessed my mom killing my dad. I grew up in a remote village in Africa where life was all about farming and herding livestock until some American missionaries came and opened a school for the local children. The village men and elders hated this because it meant all the kids except the girls would have to leave their homesteads to attend school, leaving all the chores undone for the day. My mother, on the other hand, was overjoyed with the idea because she had heard stories from other women who their sons had attended school and how successful they had become later in life. So, there was always bickering in my home about how this education is getting in the way of more important stuff like grazing the cattle and goats. My father always went on and on about how the cows are getting thinner and producing less milk because there's no one to feed them properly. About 1 year later, after all this happening in my home, my father had had enough, so one morning he ordered me to bring all the books I had and my uniform, a torn out pair of shorts and an oversized shirt. He wrapped them all together with the books and threw them into the fire. He then forced me to go take out the bulls out to the fields just beside the school so I could see the other kids in school sit or in class learning. He tried to convince me how useless sitting there was. I was so hurt I cried all day. When my mother learned about this later that evening, she was so upset, and for the first time she physically dared to attack my dad, but unfortunately he was too strong for her. She was severely beaten and kicked out. A few days passed and she was brought back by her parents, my grandparents, and instructed to never repeat what she had done or else she would be kicked out for good, and if she was to be kicked out again, she was welcomed to her parents' home either. Grandpa was so mad because that would also mean that he will have to return whatever cattle was paid to him as her dowry. She was on her own from there. Things went back to how they were before the missionaries and I was back to herding livestock and plowing the farms. I was so depressed as I watch other kids doing school stuff or talking about stuff they had learned while I just sat there awkwardly dying inside with envy. Then one day everything changed. I had just came home when my mother called me, and by her demeanor I could tell something was off. She was sweating and shaking. She instructed me to take a calabash. It's a gourd from the calabash tree used as a bowl cup in African homes. Fill it up with milk and bring it to her. I did as I was told, but after handing it to her she turned around and started to vigorously shaking the gourd. They handed it to me and asked me to take it to my father after the milk inside had settled because it was foamy. I took it to him after some minutes and went about my business. I was alerted by a loud wail from the back of the room where I used to sleep. I ran outside and it was my dad. He was on the ground. My mom was standing right beside him, hailing curses at him. He was so stiff, his eyes yellow and foaming in the mouth, and he had soiled his pants. At that point he and I knew what was going on. He looked at me, the back at my mom, and said something in my native language that literally translate to "You have killed me, you whore." He died and—
Am I the asshole for insisting that my ex-boyfriend take the pictures of us together off of his Instagram? And my ex and I officially broke up over 2 years ago. It was brought to my attention by a friend of mine that the pictures of him and I at my senior prom are still on his Instagram. The problem is that he deleted the pictures from his prom, which he went to with a different girl, but chose to keep mine. He was very abusive mentally and verbally when we were together. I'm getting married in 8 months to a different person. And I sent a very kind message to his current girlfriend, which he has no pictures of her posted, asking her to please ask him to take down the pictures. She read the message, but never responded and blocked me immediately. A friend of mine offered to directly message him for me, but he read her message and also ignored her. I'm sure I started some turmoil in their relationship, but it makes me so uncomfortable that he chose to keep up those pictures, especially since I'm beginning a whole new chapter of my life with someone new. The pictures still remain up to this day. Am I the asshole here?
I'm the asshole for asking my girlfriend to marry me in front of her family. My girlfriend and I have dated for 6 years, and I was ready to pop the question. We were at her family's Sunday dinner, and I thought it'd be perfect for her family to be there to see it. And I was sure she'd say yes because we talked about marriage a lot. While at dinner, I gave her a bread roll, and when she ripped it open, the ring was in there. She looked as if she was about to cry, which I thought was a good thing. And then I asked her to marry me. She got up and left. I was obviously so shocked and embarrassed. Her family was super confused as well. I followed her out and she told me that it was a shitty proposal and that she deserved something more grand than a bread roll at dinner. I told her I thought it'd be perfect, and then she just got more mad. She told me that she didn't want her family there, as it's a lot more pressure to put on her. And she told me that I can try again, but I only get one more chance, and if I blow it, then she's done with me. I'm in such disbelief. She's never acted this way before, and she never told me what she wanted or didn't want. I don't know what to do because I love her, but this kind of scares me. So am I the asshole, and what should I do?
My bikini bottoms fell off in front of a boat full of people. Storytime. Bruh, I'm so embarrassed. Like, y'all don't understand how bad it was. So if you follow me on Instagram, you're gonna know I went to Aruba. You're also gonna see that fire-ass booty pic I just posted, so like, go like it or something. Anyways, I was in Aruba, living my best life. Your girl was on vacation. I was turning up, getting tan, drinking rum. I was really living my best life. Until one day I decided to do some water activities. I went parasailing, I went snorkeling, I went jet skiing. But we're gonna talk about the day I went tubing. That's when the trauma started. So I get on this boat and we're getting ready to go tubing. I get on the tube and we start flying down the ocean. Like, we were doing donuts in the water. I was slipping and sliding everywhere. It was just a really fun time. Until we were going a little bit too fast. So I was holding onto the tube about to fall off, but instead my bikini bottoms fell off and everyone saw everything. It was almost like they say a full moon, and 2 people took fucking pictures for free. And so obviously I let go and I got in the water, and then I couldn't find my bathing suit bottoms. They were literally gone. It was a fabulous time.
Well, I said I'd be sharing more stories of things that happened to me while I was younger that I've kept secret for my entire life and haven't told anybody, so here's another story. Fair warning, this video might be a little triggering. I was really young at the time. I don't exactly remember what age. I was around 8 or 13 years old. Me and my friends were going to this haunted maze, and it was around Halloween time. It was one of my friend's parents that was taking us there, and it was a group of 5 or 6 of my friends. While me and my friends were going through this maze, we were standing in a line, and I was standing in the very back. So while we were walking, I ended up tripping on my shoelace and I fell to the side where there was curtains. It was the curtains where the workers would pop out and try to scare you. When I fell, I tried to yell for my friends, but because of the sound effects of the maze, they couldn't hear me. And by the time I got up, they were gone. So I started walking and I eventually got to a place where you could only go right or left, and I went left. And once I went left, I ended up in a circular room where there was 5 passageways. But there was also a group of teenage boys, and I didn't even see them at first. All I know is I turned around and got grabbed, like for part 2. This is part 2 of the time I got lost in a haunted maze. Like I said, I lost track of my friends and I was looking for my friends, and I ended up in a part of the maze where there was all these guys that I didn't even see at first. All I know is I turned around and I got grabbed. So I screamed. I was super young at the time. I was defenseless. I didn't know what to do. Those guys seemed like they were around their teenage years and they were laughing and making a joke out of it. One of them was laughing and they told their friend, grab her legs. And so the friend grabbed my legs and they were tugging me and pulling me, and then they started to pull my pants down. Panic was filling over my body. I couldn't even scream. When you're young, you'd always think you know what to do at these moments, but you really don't. You just freeze up. And that's exactly what I did. I just froze up. But thankfully, as soon as I felt my pants starting to get pulled down, another group of people turned the corner, and that's when the boys dropped me and ran, like for part 3. This is going to be part 3 of the time I got lost in a haunted maze. Like I said, another group of people started to turn the corner. That's when the boys dropped me and they ran. Those group of people didn't really get to see what was going on. So they asked me if I was okay. I told them that I was good. Me being super young and scared, I didn't really want to tell them what happened. My parents were also really iffy about me going out, and I didn't want there to be a situation that would make them not trust me anymore. So they started to walk me out of the maze, you guys. And I'm guessing we were nearing towards the exit. But as we were nearing towards the exit, I completely forgot about the boys. I had realized that I didn't have a bracelet that I was wearing. Me being young and trying not to annoy the people that found me and were helping me get out of the maze, I wanted to turn around, but I didn't want to tell them that I needed to turn around because I lost something. So I ran back. As I was running back, trying to find this bracelet in this maze, I had ran into the same group of teenage boys who assaulted me, like for part 4. This is going to be part 4 of the time I got lost in a haunted maze. I had lost something in the maze, and once I ran back to find it, I had ran into the same group of teenage boys who assaulted me. Like I said previously, I had completely forgotten about these boys. How did I forget about these boys? I'm not sure. I was very young, very dumb, and I wish I wasn't scared at the time to tell those people who were walking me out of the maze that I had lost something, because I'm sure they would have been nice enough to help me find it. But I was scared. I didn't want to annoy them. So as soon as I saw those boys, I was thinking life or death. Why was I thinking life or death? I'm not sure, but that was my instinct. So I took it upon myself to do the dash, and I ran and ran and ran, and I did not look back. I didn't remember which way to go out of the maze, but I somehow did make it out. Thankfully, the Lord was really watching over me that day. And once I got out, I was screaming for my friends. I was screaming their names. I was looking for them everywhere. Eventually, I found my friends, and I just hugged one of them and started bawling.